4 deeply unsettling human nature experiments have occurred on Earth, especially the last one, which directly reflects humanity's future. First, the Kellogg experiment. In 1939, American psychologist Winthrop Kellogg brought his 10-month-old son, Donald, to live together with a 7-month-old chimpanzee named Gua, creating identical living conditions and methods of education to observe whether a chimpanzee could be raised as human. During the experiment, Kellogg was astonished to discover that Gua developed behavioral skills much faster than Donald, such as earlier mastery of turning doorknobs and drinking from cups. But since Donald spent every day with Gua, by the time he was nearly 2 years old, he had learned only 3 words, while children his age typically mastered at least 50. Moreover, Donald began to imitate the chimpanzee's behavior, making chimp-like vocalizations and walking on all fours. Alarmed by these abnormalities, Kellogg realized he hadn't humanized Gua, but had turned his son into a chimp. The experiment had to be stopped after 9 months, and Gua was returned to a primate center. By then, Gua had developed human emotions, couldn't adapt to chimp life, exhibited severe depression and distress, and died at age 3, despite a 50-year average chimp lifespan. In contrast, Donald, after parting from Gua, seemed initially unaffected. He was even admitted to Harvard University. However, at age 42, Donald took his own life due to sudden depression. After this incident, many criticized Kellogg's experiment as deeply unethical, accusing him of disrespecting his son and abusing animals. While the experiment did show that human behavior and intelligence depend on complex sociocultural factors, in any case, it caused lasting psychological damage to both Gua and Donald. Second, the Stanford Prison Experiment. In 1971, American psychologist Professor Philip Zimbardo tested how environments alter human behavior. He recruited 24 mentally healthy volunteers. Half wore prisoner uniforms. Half became guards wielding batons in a simulated prison. To make the setup more realistic, prisoners were not allowed to move freely once confined, while the guards were told they could use any non-violent method to maintain order. Both groups rapidly embraced their roles. Initially, guards were simply authoritative, but once they realized the researchers wouldn't intervene, their behavior became increasingly abusive, humiliating and mistreating prisoners at will. By day 6, when some prisoners showed signs of breakdown, the 2-week experiment was abruptly stopped. Zimbardo concluded from this experiment that anyone given power over others is likely to abuse that power, and even many atrocities in human history are not necessarily about good versus evil, but simply about people being given the opportunity to do evil. Thus, under specific conditions, angels may become devils, and you can never know whether those around you remain civilized companions or potential monsters. Third, Harlow's monkey experiments. In 1957, psychologist Harry Harlow challenged John Watson's "cry it out" theory, claiming infants bond solely for food, not affection, via his cloth mother experiments. He placed newborn rhesus monkeys in cages with 2 wire frames, one that provided milk and one covered with soft cloth resembling a mother monkey but offered no food. The monkeys were free to choose, and Harlow observed that they only approached the milk frame when hungry. The rest of the time, they clung to the cloth mother. Especially when frightened, they hugged the cloth doll for security. In a larger space, the monkeys didn't explore right away. They ran to the cloth mother first to relieve stress. Even when other monkeys were present, they still instinctively went to the cloth figure. When the cloth mother was removed, the monkeys curled up in fear, refused to move, and made desperate cries. Monkeys raised in isolation like this developed severe autism-like symptoms, displaying hostility toward others and even self-harming behaviors. After numerous trials, Harlow concluded that love has 3 key variables: touch, motion, and play. If these needs are met, a primate's emotional development will be healthy, but prolonged isolation causes irreversible psychological damage. Over 5,000 monkeys died during these experiments. Although many viewed them as cruel and unethical, Harlow's findings undeniably helped overturn harmful child-rearing practices, ultimately saving countless children. Fourth, the Universe 25 experiment. In 1968, ethologist John Calhoun built a square mouse city with tunnels, unlimited food, water, no predators. The only limit was the living space, which could hold a maximum of 3,800 mice. 4 mouse pairs reproduced rapidly, doubling in 55 days, then every 60 days. Thanks to ample resources, the mouse society was initially peaceful. But when the population hit 620, growth slowed, and social structures emerged. Original males controlled prime territory. New females lived peripherally, while lower status males congregated in the center, enjoying food and socializing. Soon, bizarre behaviors surfaced. Females abandoned killed offspring. Dominant males failed to protect mates. Low-status males became passive and withdrawn. By day 600, when the last viable offspring was born, the population peaked at 2,200. From that moment, social behaviors collapsed completely. Many mice began to spend all their time eating, sleeping, and grooming. They looked pristine and unscarred, like beautiful ones. They stopped mating and no longer fought. With most mice ceasing to reproduce, their behavioral model permanently changed, and the mouse society inevitably collapsed. When the last mouse died, in under 5 years, this mouse paradise came to an end. Calhoun concluded that when usable space is exhausted and all social roles are filled, the resulting pressure leads to social decay and ultimately societal collapse. Because this experiment mirrors human society, it faced immediate backlash. Critics argued human social behavior is far more complex than that of mice, and the study was eventually dismissed. But over 40 years later, many of today's social issues can still be traced back to this experiment. Only when the younger generation is more vibrant and mentally resilient can we prolong the development of human society. Although Universe 25 cannot predict the future of humanity, it undeniably offers important insights.